My kids cut me off for over a decade. Now they want back in, but I've built a new life. But I gave them an ending they never saw coming. I married young, fresh out of high school, swept up by what felt like true love. We were young, impulsive, and ready to take on the world together. By the time I was 25, we had 3 kids, Jason, Emily, and little Sarah. We built a life that on the surface looked picture perfect, but underneath, the cracks were starting to show, exacerbated by hidden resentments and my then wife's growing distance. When our oldest, Jason, was 10, my wife started having an affair. The unraveling of our marriage was swift and brutal, culminating in a separation that left deep scars, especially since we decided to keep the real reason hidden from the kids. They didn't know why we divorced, only that soon after, their mother and I lived separate lives. This secrecy bred resentment, and as the years passed, it seemed they blamed me exclusively. The relationship with my kids deteriorated as they grew older. Each birthday, each holiday felt more strained than the last. I watched helplessly as the distance grew, feeling more like a wallet than a father. Whenever I reached out, tried to explain, or show affection, it was met with cold indifference or outright hostility, often encouraged by their mother's subtle insinuations about my character and intentions. Then came the lowest point of my life, an overdose attempt that landed me in the hospital. It was a wake-up call, a realization of how far I had fallen. My boss, a steadfast friend, offered me a lifeline, a job across the country. Desperate for a change, I took it. It was a chance to escape, to build something new without the shadows of my past constantly hovering over me. In this new city, life slowly began to piece itself back together. I met Anna, a woman with a gentle strength that seemed to see right through the facade I had built around my old wounds. She was patient, loving, and most importantly, she offered a new perspective on life, one rooted in understanding and recovery. With her help, I battled out of the severe depression that had gripped me for years. 10 years passed in this new life, and I was happy, genuinely happy. Anna and I had 2 wonderful children, and I had all but severed ties with my past, including telling my mother to stop updating me about my estranged children. However, the facade of this newly found peace was shattered when I received an unexpected invitation to my middle daughter Emily's wedding. The invite, surprisingly forwarded by my mother despite my requests, sent me spiraling. I didn't attend, I couldn't face that part of my past. The decision was painful, laden with what-ifs and could-have-beens. It was a stark reminder of the bridges I had burned and the emotional toll of my decisions. The years continued to roll by, each one distancing me further from my previous life, until one unsuspecting evening, my phone rang. A familiar area code flashed across the screen. Without thinking, I answered, only to hear a voice softly say, "Dad." Panic seized me, and I blurted out, "Sorry, you must have the wrong number," before hastily hanging up. They tried to call back several times, but I blocked the number, convinced it was Emily or perhaps Sarah trying to reach out. The fear of reopening old wounds, of confronting the past I had worked so hard to move beyond, was overwhelming. I found myself shaken, the old anxieties and fears creeping back in. Now, as I recount this tale, I wrestle with mixed emotions. Am I justified in wanting to keep these doors closed to protect the life I've rebuilt, or am I simply running from my responsibilities, my past? The thought of facing my children now, after all these years, brings a turmoil that I thought I had long overcome. Am I an a-hole for turning away from them, or is this just a necessary measure to maintain my sanity? This narrative isn't just about the mistakes of the past or the attempts at redemption. It's about the ongoing struggle between duty and self-preservation, the constant balancing act of dealing with consequences that time does not heal. If one or more of your kids wanted to apologize to you and establish a relationship, would you be open to it? Is there room for healing? If so, is there anyone who could be the go-between on your behalf and see what they wanted? Parental alienation is a form of brainwashing, so their behavior, which you never deserved, would have stemmed from that. Your children also didn't deserve this brainwashing. I fully understand why you would not want to open that door again. If one or more of your kids is seeing things more clearly now, the potential for healing could be huge. The choice is yours, and you are not the a-hole regardless of which choice you make. This is a great perspective. My mother-in-law brainwashed my husband and his sister against their father. They haven't talked to that man in 40 years. He wasn't Father of the Year, but he wasn't a monster either. This happened to me with my older son. I miss him, but to him, I'm a monster. Your children are also old enough now to know the truth. Your ex-wife has done the maximum amount of damage that can possibly be done. What are you achieving by protecting her? Tell them and get it off your chest, then move on. They can decide if they want to believe you or not and whether or not they want to be in your life. Keep in mind, the same manipulative cow that did this to you is the person raising your children. They probably have a better idea of who she is and what she is capable of than you might realize. By the time my youngest was 17, all of his kids, 4 adults or thereabouts, after years of abuse and hatred, he is happy. Leave him in peace. Now for the update. Update 1. First up, I got a call that really threw me for a loop. It was from my uncle, telling me it was my oldest daughter trying to get back in touch. That was a lot to process, especially with everything else that's been going on. As you can imagine, reading through all your comments and advice has been overwhelming but also super helpful. I appreciate everyone weighing in with their perspectives. I've taken a significant step for my own mental health. I reached out to my therapist, who thankfully had an opening this Monday. I've already called my boss to take the day off because I really need to focus on this. The plan is to jot down everything I can think of that's been troubling me and then discuss it all with my therapist. My wife will be there too to help sort through it all. We're thinking of tackling this via email for now because waiting around for calls just adds to the stress. One of my biggest worries in all this is my kids. I really don't want them to start forming a relationship with someone who might just disappoint them or, worse, hurt them in some way. It's something I need to talk through with my therapist. I want to make sure I handle this delicately and correctly, not just for my sake but for theirs too. Honestly, that's about it for updates at the moment. I've gained so many different perspectives from all of you, and while it's been incredibly helpful, it's also a bit much to take in all at once. I think this is going to be a slow and careful process. I'm still not even sure why she's trying to get in touch now after all this time. I did make a temporary decision to unblock that number just long enough to tell her I'd send an email address where she can reach me later. Even doing that was tough. My wife actually had to type out the message for me. I noticed some of you were worried I might be using drugs or something, but just to clear up any misunderstandings, the only time I ever took anything was that one desperate moment years ago, trying to cope with everything. And I haven't touched anything since. From our last communication until now, when my youngest is 19 and my oldest is 24, 2 years since we last spoke, I hope that clears up any confusion or concerns you might have had. Thanks again for all the support and advice. I'll keep you updated, but like I said, this is going to be a slow process. I need to take things one step at a time, carefully and thoughtfully, to ensure the best outcome for everyone involved, especially my kids. Now for 2 top comments before reading the update. Comment 1. If one or more of your kids wanted to apologize to you and establish a relationship, would you be open to it? Is there room for healing? If so, is there anyone who could be the go-between on your behalf and see what they wanted? Parental alienation is a form of brainwashing, so their behavior, which you never deserved, could have stemmed from that. Your children also didn't deserve this brainwashing. I fully understand why you would not want to open that door again. If one or more of your kids is seeing things more clearly now, the potential for healing could be huge. The choice is yours, and you are NTA regardless of which choice you make. As he got older, he would call, we'd talk and stuff. Then he was able to drive, so we'd spend time together talking about the past, him getting to know more about me and me knowing more about him. At that time, my wife and I had just had our daughter and had even talked about him moving in with us, his suggestion. Moving ahead, he went to college, dropped out. His mom called me multiple times to call and talk sense into him, ironically, but to no avail. He then goes into the Navy. We stay in touch. He's on leave at base and collapses. Apparently, his pre-workout drink messed his heart up. He had to take leave for 6 months to recover. Same as college, didn't do shit to stay in shape for PT test to get cleared and was kicked out. I moved during this time as he was stationed on the East Coast. I would ask to spend time with him, and he didn't want me to come there. Okay. He kept going back home, FL, about once a month to see his mom. I'd gotten to the point and asked him to come and see us, 5-hour ride from where he was versus FL. Said maybe, okay, let it ride. Then before Christmas, as we were talking, I had picked up on things he was saying and asked him later when he was getting married, and he laughed it off and said they weren't that far in the relationship for that. I had said a number of times before that when he got married, I couldn't see it in person, but it was what it was. A week later, my wife shows me the FB post of him getting married. That's when I cut him off, period. I had opened myself and my family to him, and he lied about it. It wasn't a small lie, and I had always told him not to lie to me as I would be the last one to ever judge him or anybody. He lied. He tried calling 2 or 3 more times, but I never answered him or text back when he texted. I will never speak to him again, not a chance, ever. Many more things happened along the way, too much to put in here, but I fought to be a part of his life as much as I was allowed. That was the end of all of it 8 years ago. Starting off, after sending that cautious email to my daughter about possibly reconnecting, she replied quicker than I thought she would. In her email, she dropped a huge piece of news: she's expecting a child. Yeah, I'm going to be a grandfather. That part of the news had a strange effect on me. It was like a mix of shock, joy, and a dozen other emotions I can't neatly package into words. She wrote about wanting her child to know their grandfather, to have me in their life in a meaningful way. It was a lot to take in, considering our strained past and the long stretch of silence that had defined our relationship until recently. The thought of being a granddad is exciting but also scary, given how things have been between us. Then there's the situation with my son, which is a whole different kind of heavy. I found out from a rather unexpected source, my brother, who's been somewhat of a mediator in the shadows, that my son has been battling drug addiction. He's currently in rehab, trying to put his life back together, and he's reaching out because he wants to mend fences. Finding out about his struggles and knowing he's in a place where he wants to heal brought up a lot of emotions, from relief to sorrow to guilt for not being there when maybe I could have helped. Navigating how to support him through this, even from a distance, has been challenging. I've started writing him letters. It's an old school approach, but it feels right. It gives me time to think about what I want to say without getting overwhelmed by the immediacy of a conversation. Amid all this, another layer of complexity got added to the mix. My ex-wife, the same woman who played a pivotal role in the estrangement from my children, is now seriously ill. She's reached out, wanting to talk, to explain things, maybe to apologize, I'm not sure. It's a lot to process. The woman who caused so much pain in my life is now facing her own profound struggles, and she wants to reconnect, maybe to find some peace for herself. So I'm caught between old anger and the natural human feeling of sympathy for someone who's unwell. It's a strange place to be. Part of me wants to have that confrontation, to tell her about all the pain she's caused, to make her understand the depth of it. But then there's another part that questions what good that would do. Would it change anything? Would it make me feel better, or would it just reopen old wounds that have taken so long to heal? Deciding to meet my daughter was the first step in this new chapter. We agreed to meet at a quiet cafe, a neutral place where we could talk openly. That meeting was intense. There were tears, raised voices at times, but also moments of genuine connection that I hadn't felt in years. We talked about the past, about her childhood, about the divorce and how things went so wrong between us. It was clear that there were misunderstandings and hurt feelings on both sides. We also talked about her future, about her pregnancy, what she envisioned for her child. It's clear she wants to do things differently, wants to break the cycle of estrangement and pain that marked our family for so long. It's a lot of pressure, a lot of responsibility, but also a chance for something new, something better. As for my son, the letter writing has been therapeutic for both of us, I think. He's shared some of his journey through recovery, the ups and downs, the setbacks and victories. It's given me insight into his struggles and a new perspective on what he's been through. It's also shown me how much I missed, how much I didn't see, and how maybe things could have been different if we'd managed to keep the lines of communication open. Now, regarding my ex-wife, I'm still undecided. I haven't responded to her yet. It's a decision I'm wrestling with daily. I find myself asking whether I'm ready to face her, whether I can handle whatever she has to say, whether it's worth the emotional toll it might take. In all of this, the support from Anna, my wife, has been my rock. She's been incredibly supportive, helping me navigate these complex emotions and decisions. We've spent many nights talking it through, weighing the pros and cons, trying to figure out the best path forward, not just for me, but for our family as a whole. The impact of all this on my mental health hasn't been small. There are days I feel overwhelmed, unsure if I'm making the right choices, if I'm handling things the best I can. But I'm trying to take it one day at a time, to process each piece of information, each emotion as it comes, and to make decisions that are thoughtful and considerate, not just reactive. Reflecting on all of this, it's clear that this journey of reconciliation and healing is going to be long and complicated. There are no easy answers, no quick fixes. It's going to require patience, understanding, and a lot of hard conversations. But I'm hopeful that out of all this pain and complexity, something good can emerge, something lasting. Thanks for sticking with me through this long update. Your words of encouragement and advice have meant the world to me. I'll keep you posted on how things progress, on the ups and downs, and on the lessons learned along the way. Here's to hoping for more ups than downs in the days to come. After much internal debate and several sleepless nights, I decided to meet with my ex-wife. It was not a decision I took lightly, considering all the water under the bridge and the storms we've weathered both separately and together. We met at a quiet cafe, a place neutral enough to not stir too many memories. Seeing her after all these years, visibly weakened by her illness, was a shock to the system. She spoke a lot, mostly apologies, expressing regrets about her past actions and the destructive paths she led us down. She tried to explain her reasons, mostly rooted in her own insecurities and failures. I listened more than I talked, A part of me was processing the pain while another part was oddly detached, trying to find some semblance of understanding in her words. It was an emotionally draining meeting, and I left feeling a mixture of relief and exhaustion. Forgiveness hasn't come fully yet, but I'm on the path to understanding, and maybe that's a start. On a brighter note, the relationship with my daughter has taken a positive turn. She's nearing her due date, and the anticipation of welcoming a new life has somehow brought us closer. We've spent weekends picking out baby stuff, setting up the nursery, and just talking, really talking, about our lives, hopes, and fears. It's been a healing process, repairing old wounds with new memories. This experience has given us a project to focus on together, and it's more than just preparing for a baby, it's about laying down the foundation for a new phase in our relationship. My son's journey has been equally heartening. His completion of the rehab program marked a significant milestone, and the man he's becoming fills me with pride. We've been meeting up regularly, taking it slow, allowing ourselves the space to explore this new dynamic. He's been joining family dinners, and seeing him interact with his siblings has been reassuring. There's awkwardness, sure, but beneath that, there's a genuine effort on all sides to connect, which is more than I could have hoped for. Anna, my incredible wife, has been nothing short of amazing through all of this. Her support isn't just in the big gestures but also in the quiet moments when I've needed it most. Her growing relationship with my children from my previous marriage is developing at its own pace. It's cautious, yet there's a mutual respect that I believe can blossom into something meaningful with time. She's been involved in every step, helping navigate the complexities of blending two families, always with a grace that amazes me. One of the unexpected joys has been the interest from my younger kids in getting to know their older half-siblings. They ask questions, show a keenness to connect, and have brought a lightness to family gatherings that might otherwise have been tense. These interactions, though still in their early stages, hold a promise of a blended family that not only coexists but supports one another. Mentally, I'm in a much better place. Regular therapy has been transformative, providing me not just with coping mechanisms but also with insights into my own behaviors and fears. Learning to forgive others has been challenging, but learning to forgive myself has been another journey altogether. Each session, each conversation helps peel back layers of guilt and regret, replacing them with something a little more like hope. Looking ahead, there's still a lot of road to travel. Relationships are complex beasts, and they require constant nurturing. The work isn't easy, and there are days when the old fears and doubts creep back in, whispering that it's all going to fall apart again. But then I look at how far we've come, how far I've come, and I find the strength to keep going, to keep trying, to keep building. The excitement of becoming a grandfather is something I'm looking forward to with a mix of joy and nerves. It represents a new chapter, not just for my daughter but for me as well. It's a chance to experience the joys of young life again through a lens of wisdom gained from many hard-learned lessons. It's also a reminder of the cycles of life, of how we get chances for redemption in ways we might not expect. I wanted to convey not just the changes and challenges but also the quiet victories and the soft moments of realization that come unexpectedly. Whether it's a smile across the dinner table or a successful conversation that ends with a hug instead of a hurried goodbye, these are the moments that stitch the fabric of our newly reconstructed family tighter together. Thanks for walking this path with me, for your stories and advice, for your tough questions and kind words. I'll keep sharing as this journey unfolds through the ups and downs, the setbacks and successes. Here's to more ups than downs, to more healing than hurt, and to finding peace in the chaos of change. I became a grandfather. My daughter gave birth to a beautiful baby girl a few weeks ago, and I was there in the hospital, holding her hand through it all. It was an incredibly emotional experience, seeing new life coming into the world and knowing this little one is part of my family. Holding my granddaughter for the first time was a moment of pure joy mixed with a deep sense of gratitude for the repaired bonds that made this moment possible. My daughter and I have come so far, and though it's been a bumpy road, it feels like we're finally on solid ground. My son is continuing to do well in his sobriety journey. We meet regularly, and our relationship is stronger than ever. He started a new job, and seeing him take these steps towards building a stable life for himself is incredibly rewarding. We talk about everything now, no topic is off limits, which has brought a new level of trust and openness between us. As for my ex-wife, our last conversation was probably our last. We reached a sort of peace, an understanding that while the past can't be changed, it doesn't have to dictate our futures. I've let go of a lot of the anger and bitterness that I held on to for so long, and it's been liberating. This doesn't mean I've forgotten, but rather I've chosen to focus on the present and the future instead. Anna, as always, has been my cornerstone throughout all of this. Her unwavering support and love have made all the difference. She's embraced my children and granddaughter as her own, and her capacity for kindness and compassion seems boundless. We've grown closer through these experiences, navigating each challenge and celebrating every victory together. The younger kids are thrilled to have a new niece and they're already proving to be doting siblings. Integrating my family has had its challenges, but these moments of joy and unity remind me why it's been worth all the effort. In terms of personal growth, this journey has taught me more about myself than I ever expected. I've learned the true value of forgiveness, the strength required to rebuild trust, and the power of letting go of past hurts. Therapy has been a crucial part of this process, giving me the tools to deal with my emotions healthily and constructively. Looking back, if someone told me a few years ago that I would be where I am now, I would have been skeptical to say the least. But life has a way of surprising us, of throwing us into the deep end and giving us the chance to swim. I've learned that it's not just about surviving the storm but also about learning how to dance in the rain, to embrace each challenge and find the lessons it holds. As I close this chapter, I'm not just saying goodbye to the past but also looking forward to the future with a hopeful heart. I plan to spend more time with my family, to cherish every moment with my granddaughter, and to continue building those bonds that we've worked so hard to strengthen.